Hello guys, this is my UHC PvP tutorial video. I will be covering several topics in here that go outside of the game or outside of the UHC game mode, such as the mentality, key binding, and some of the ways you can practice UHC without the actual kit. So sit back and enjoy. Now I'm going to go over the actual kit you're going to be using. This is the kit the Legacy uses. You have 4 stacks of blocks, 2 lavas, 4 waters, sharpness 4 sword, sharpness 1 axe, piercing 1, power 1, protection 2, and the rest is plot 3, 13 golden apples, 8 cobwebs, 16 arrows. Me personally, I think they should add 32, but that's sort of just my personal ideology. And now we will go over how to use all of these items effectively and to their max. Shield is used to block attacks. If you're holding it up, you do not take damage. Unfortunately, it can be disabled by one hit from the axe. Taking a hit with the axe does not have to be fully charged. It can be a spam click, and shield will still be disabled. This means that you have to be very careful when you are trading with the sword. Which, segueing to that, as you can see, the damage difference between the axe and the sword is barely anything. Like, in fact, I personally use axes for the first hit of every exchange, or if there's a long break between when I am fighting somebody, just because that extra 0.5 damage. The sword, I use basically every other time. It's just the damage per second is it's insanely fast compared to that of the axe. We have to wait a long time for it to recharge. At the start of the fight, I'll always preload my crossbow and eat a golden apple. The reasoning for this is that when you eat the golden apple, you get 2 extra hearts at the front of your screen. Basically, it just gives you 2 extra health, and if the other opponent does not also eat a golden apple, you will be able to push forward easier because you will have more health than them. Food, because in UHC there's no natural regeneration, these golden apples will heal you precisely 2 hearts of normal health and 2 hearts of absorption on top. That's why I would always recommend healing if you have distance and you are 8 hertz or lower absorption health aside. If you are 7 or 6 hertz, I would recommend trying to create distance before you eat so that you actually gain something. Because if you eat when you're close to your enemy and they crit spam you, you gain essentially nothing out of that food. It's basically wasted. So just run a bit before you eat or use cobwebs to delay your enemy. Or even water, you can do something like this before you run. Next, lava. That was the wrong way. Lava can be used in a way such as this. As you can see, it lights. Never mind. It lights your enemies on fire. Lava doesn't deal much actual damage. The thing is, with the damage tick, as you can see when I'm running, it makes me run less fast. So I would recommend using lava if you want to get away. You can leave it there and run, or you can pick it up and run. It's honestly your choice. Doesn't matter. I would consider lava to be one of the most valuable items in the kit because just people react to it in different ways. The psychological aspect of it. Same with cobwebs. Cobwebs I think are also useful if you know how to use them correct. You can do this. Never mind. What I was saying. Sorry. You can do something like this, where basically they're in the cobwebs and the lava's on their head. I think it's a pretty useful tactic if you can pull it off in the middle of a fight. Um, so that's cobwebs. You can use cobwebs to cover your retreat. I would not recommend using more than 2 cobwebs at once. Probably 1 is ideal and 2 at max. If they just jump around, do not spam, just run, I would recommend. Blocks can be used to double stack, which is what I just did there. It makes it harder for them to follow you and more likely that they'll get caught up on the blocks. Like I got caught up on my woods. And it'll make them harder for them to follow you so you can eat safer. The bow. The bow is, I would rank it at the same level as the lava, just because both the bow and the lava are excellent at chipping away at your opponent's health. Overall, if the opponent is running from you or you think they're low, I would first recommend shooting them with a bow. Um, that's the bow. The water can be used to if you're on fire, or as a way of creating distance, and obviously as a clutch block. Crossbow. One might think that the crossbow is not important just because it barely deals any damage. It deals one. I think it deals one hurt at most, either half a hurt or one hurt. But damage is not what I use the crossbow for. If I wanted damage, I would use bow. Crossbow is used to create distance at the start of an exchange. Where, like, say you have a brief exchange, you crossbow them and you run back a bit. So it can create distance if you want to heal. So one thing I can do, say I'm in an exchange right now, and I'm in a suboptimal situation, I crossbow and like I can, if I move my mouse cursor up, I can do that. So it's basically like crossbow and move like that, and then run. For added to better, you can place water down as well, so you can get even better distance. Overall, I think that's covered all of the items in the kit. If you have distance and you're waiting for them to come to you, you can quickly check how many arrows you have. Also, just here's a little pro tip that I use in all my games. When I open my inventory, you can see how my mouse cursor appears right below my shield. You can place water and lava around that area, so you can, like, say you lose one of your waters, right? You can pretty quickly refill it instead of if all of your waters are like on one side of your inventory, and you lose a water. Um, you lose a water. It's way harder to get to it, and just overall way slower. So keep everything around this middle of the inventory or near wherever your mouse cursor appears. And that, I think, concludes this segment of the video. I feel like mentality is one of the most important parts of just any video game PvP. By mentality, I don't mean something like battle IQ or game sense. I mean something as simple as just sort of keeping video games and like life separate. I feel like who I am and who people online know me as is definitely not like who I am in real life. Like I feel like I have the same core personality and traits, but if somebody like, especially like people who know me in real life, like I'm struggling how to like say this, but people who know me in real life know that I'm pretty different online, and just try to keep like stuff online and real life separate. Like, what you don't want is for your day to get any worse. Because say you lost a 85 or 83 win streak. Like when I lost my 83 win streak, I didn't like care. That did not affect how I acted in real life. Like I was not ever like no. I was like, okay, I lost my win streak. That's sad. Okay, it's dinner time now. I'm gonna go eat. So it's more of something like you would just treat it as something separate. It's like I feel like having like relationships in real life should come before your relationships online. And I think that's what separates like I think that's what separates some people who I consider good or who I consider respectable. Like there are good PvPers who I do not respect, and there are bad PvPers who I respect. Which I feel like that sort of just goes to show like you can have all the skill in the world, you can be like the best Minecraft player, but if nobody respects you, then what's like the point of all of it? I feel like key binding is another one of the staple elements of UHC. I've seen people who are very good use the scroll wheel, and they do very well. But I feel like you just having good keybinds and being able to reach every slot in your inventory goes a very long way. It increases your skill cap a lot. These are my personal keybinds. I'm not telling you to copy them. You can if you want, but they're just the ones that I choose for myself personally. The only ones here I changed, I use sneak as hotkey number 4. I use it a bit, but I don't use it enough to make it something that's right by my hands. And shift is too hard to get because my pinky does not work well, and I don't want to reach with my thumb. Sprint as button 4, it's one of my mouse buttons. The reason it is that is because I just can constantly hold it down throughout the entire PvP fight. This is irrelevant. Drop selected item is M. If I have to do it, I can, but it's far enough away from my left hand that I don't have to do it a lot, and that I won't accidentally do it. Hotkeys 1 through 9 are pretty simple. Tab, Q, E, R, F, Z, C, V, B. As you can see, they sort of follow a pattern if you like drag your hands along the keyboard in that way, sort of like forming a circle around your hands. I do that because they're all very close and I can reach them all very easily in any PvP situation. I use 2 for swap item with offhand, just because using 2 as a number keybind, while it does make sense, it's hard to move your finger straight up from W if you're using a keyboard. List players is 1. I have to do it sometimes again. It's pretty close. Open chat's Y because I use R as my food. I kept on accidentally hitting T in opening chat, so I just moved it 1 over. These are my health indicators. I mean, the main thing I use is 6. They don't actually work on Legacy, but for some servers, I use them. Toggle's perspective is Z. I don't like Z. If I had a better like mouse button for it, I would, but I don't do it enough to have it be required. I could make it 3. Like I use 3 a bit, but I feel like Z is just easier to get to and something that I'm not really gonna hit on accident. Uh, yeah, I think that's pretty much my keybinds. Some of them are not bound because they are not necessary. Practicing outside of UHC. You don't if there's not a UHC server on Legacy Open, you don't just have to have that as your only opportunity to train. There are other opportunities and there are other stuff that it can improve that general skill set, such as axe PvP and sword PvP, which I guess sword is called OP duels. And Legacy, both of them teach you stuff that you will need in a UHC fight. Axe PvP can teach range, such as like bowing, crossbowing, bow aim, crossbow aim, as well as shield disables, and even how to sword main a bit. I can't sword main and axe well, but I can in UHC. It also just gives you the general game sense of knowing like how an opponent behaves when they're low. What the heck was that? Axe is not the only way to practice. UHC you can also practice in sword PvP. Sword PvP I feel like is more realistic, even though there's no shield, because it involves the same methods of crit spamming with occasional combos. Or that's just how I play. As you can see, the general movements I'm using, like strafing wise, to crit spam this guy. Hopefully I win. But it's all useful in UHC if you can get a shield disable on your enemy and you know how to play sword, you can do pretty well. If I can hit a combo here real quick. I can't, whatever. Crit spamming it is. No. Another thing sword can teach you to do is punish crit, which is where they hit you up in the air. And as you can see when I was falling down there, I hit him with a critical hit. Teaches you game. Basically, every form of PvP can teach you game sense. Because like, it teaches you what sort of health is good to run at. How I thought that I had more health than him, so I pushed, but I was wrong, which showed that I need more work in my game sense.